The grand auditorium of the Toronto Music Theatre was alive with the hum of anticipation. Its intricate design, with rows of tiered seats and the ornately decorated stage, exuded an air of timeless elegance. The walls were adorned with rich red velvet curtains that framed the stage, and a grand chandelier cast a warm, golden light across the room. Tonight was a special night, the premiere of the long-awaited concert featuring Fadekemi, a renowned violinist who had taken the classical music world by storm. Fadekemi stood backstage, her heart pounding in rhythm with the whispers of excitement from the audience. Her braided hair was a crown of intricate artistry, and she wore an elegant, long, flowing, deep red gown with sequins embellishments that shimmered under the lights. In her hand, she held her beloved violin, an instrument that had been both her solace and her weapon against the shadows of her past. Originally from Lagos, Nigeria, Fadekemi had escaped a life of hardship and pain. Her past was marred by loss and betrayal, but she had risen above it, moving to Toronto to pursue her dream of becoming a celebrated musician. Her exceptional talent and dedication had quickly elevated her, earning her a place among the elite in the classical music scene. But tonight, as she prepared to grace the stage, an unsettling feeling gnawed at her. The concert began with a breathtaking performance by the orchestra, setting the stage for Fadekemi's grand entrance. As she stepped into the spotlight, the audience erupted in applause, their admiration palpable. She raised her violin and began to play, her fingers dancing across the strings with effortless grace. The music flowed through her, each note a testament to her journey and resilience. But as the final notes of her performance lingered in the air, a commotion erupted backstage. Whispers of alarm spread like wildfire, and the atmosphere shifted from one of celebration to tension. Fadekemi, unaware of the turmoil, took her bow, her heart swelling with a mix of triumph and relief. It was then that a stagehand approached her, his face pale and his voice trembling.
Fadekemi, you need to come with me,
he said urgently. Confused, Fadekemi followed him backstage, her mind racing. As they turned a corner, she was met with a scene that sent a chill down her spine. Her colleague, a talented pianist named Laura, lay motionless on the floor. Laura was dressed in smart attire, her tailored pants and stylish top now disheveled and marked by the chaos. A crowd had gathered, and among the murmurs of shock and disbelief, Fadekemi heard her name. "She was the last one seen with Laura," someone whispered. "I always knew there was something off about her," another voice chimed in. Fadekemi's heart sank as the weight of their accusations settled over her. She had never been close with Laura, but she had no reason to harm her. The cold, accusatory stares from her colleagues and the murmur of the crowd made her feel as though she was trapped in a nightmare. The police arrived swiftly, their presence only intensifying the sense of dread that hung in the air.
Fadekemi Olatunji?
A stern officer called out. "Yes, that's me," Fadekemi replied, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. "We need to ask you some questions," he said, guiding her to a quieter corner of the backstage area. Fadekemi explained everything she knew, recounting the moments leading up to her performance. She had seen Laura briefly backstage, but had no idea what had happened to her. The officer listened intently, but the doubt in his eyes was evident. As the investigation continued, the whispers about Fadekemi's past began to resurface. Her life in Lagos had been fraught with challenges, and though she had worked tirelessly to build a new life, the shadows of her history refused to fade. Some accused her of harboring a grudge against Laura, painting her as a vengeful figure from a troubled past. Others defended her, insisting that Fadekemi was incapable of such a heinous act. Fadekemi would never do something like this, argued Chloe, a fellow violinist and one of Fadekemi's few close friends. She's been through so much, but she's always carried herself with grace and integrity. How can you be so sure? Countered Mark, a cellist who had always viewed Fadekemi with suspicion. People can hide their true nature behind a facade. The police continued their investigation, questioning everyone who had been in the theater that night. Fadekemi felt the walls closing in, her mind reeling from the accusations and the relentless scrutiny. She had worked so hard to leave her past behind, but it seemed that no matter how far she ran, it always caught up with her. Days turned into weeks, and the atmosphere at the music theater grew increasingly tense. Fadekemi's performances were put on hold, and she found herself at the center of a storm she could not escape. The media had caught wind of the story, and headlines speculated about her involvement, further complicating her situation. But amid the chaos, Fadekemi refused to succumb to despair. She sought solace in her music, pouring her emotions into her violin as a way to cope with the uncertainty. Her determination to prove her innocence and rebuild her life remained unwavering. As the investigation unfolded, a breakthrough came in the form of new evidence. Security footage from the night of the concert revealed a shadowy figure lurking backstage, someone who had not been accounted for. The footage was grainy, but it was enough to shift the focus away from Fadekemi and toward uncovering the true culprit. With the new lead, the police intensified their efforts, eventually uncovering a web of jealousy and rivalry that extended beyond Fadekemi and Laura. It was discovered that Laura had been involved in a contentious relationship with another musician, and their conflict had escalated to dangerous levels. The true perpetrator was apprehended, and Fadekemi's name was finally cleared. The revelation brought a mix of relief and exhaustion, but Fadekemi knew that the battle was not over. She had to rebuild her reputation and heal from the wounds inflicted by the ordeal. On the night of her first performance after the investigation, the Toronto Music Theatre was filled with supporters and skeptics alike. Fadekemi stood backstage, her violin in hand, her heart heavy but resolute. She took a deep breath and stepped into the spotlight, her gown shimmering under the lights. As she played, the music told her story, a tale of resilience, pain, and triumph. Each note was a testament to her journey, her strength, and her unyielding spirit. The audience listened in rapt silence, and by the time she finished, the theater erupted in applause. Fadekemi bowed, tears glistening in her eyes. She had faced the shadows of her past and emerged stronger, her music a beacon of hope and perseverance. The resonance of her story would echo through the halls of the theater, a reminder that no matter how dark the past, the future held the promise of redemption and light.